Guys, welcome. X's and Knowles presented by Knowles 24/7, and we are here to talk portal additions. You thought we were done? Money Mike says, no bueno. Give me more. And that we will. And the first name we're going to be talking about in this transfer portal scouting report is a name that should be very familiar to Florida State fans. It's Omarion Cooper. He had his little sabbatical up in Boulder. He came back to the promised land. We welcome him with open arms. Interesting story, guys. Adam, he comes back. He was part of the first inaugural Buffalo pilgrimage up to Colorado, decided maybe not the most serious program in the entire world, decided to come back to one. How do you feel about it, man? It's very interesting.
It was head scratching, to say the least, when I saw the news. I've been a little bit out of pocket here recently, so I haven't been paying quite as bit of attention to Florida State football as maybe I would when the season's going on. So this it's caught me off guard, and I was like, huh? But I mean, it makes some sense. There's obviously a connection there. They know each other. He was transitioning to safety before he left, and we kind of talked about coming out of spring that there may still be a need for another veteran safety, and it seems like he's going to maybe fit that role, maybe fit a little bit of a multi-tool for the secondary, which I don't think you can ever have too many of those types of guys. Mm-hmm. You are relying on a lot of young guys after AZ and Ventrell Cypress, so it's nice to have a little bit of safety blanket, and I think Duke Cooper is that.
Rising senior, he actually played 20 games for Florida State. Everybody really remembers that like true freshman campaign where everybody got excited, dealt with some injuries in 2022, but the staff was really excited ever since that transition to safety. And like you said, Adam, it wasn't one of the positions where we had a mega question mark about it, but after that, after Shaheem Brown, after maybe even Devontae Brown, that's why they went to the transfer portal and got some age and some depth from Miami. It was starting to look a little bit who would step up. Would it be time for Conrad Hussey's ascension? I like the depth, and I like the I do like the overall promise that the kid showed, and I think that the staff is excited to get him back. Kev, what do you think about the addition?
Yeah, I mean, if we're reading the tea leaves, it seems a little bit like the staff was trying to move him to safety. They felt like, they got what they could out of him at the corner, and he might be someone who did better with a different perspective of the secondary. And, it seemed like he wanted to try his hand one more time at corners. I don't know this for a fact. I haven't talked to the kid, but it seems like that's what it was. He wanted to be a corner. He wasn't necessarily super stoked about, being a safety. Who knows? He tried his hand at Colorado where they were going to let him play corner. Didn't have the best season, decided to come back, decided that, he's going to, trade in that dream and trust the coaching staff to put him in a position to be successful. And, hopefully he's someone that can come in and step in, because I think Conrad Hussey still has some growing pains. I think that, Devontae Brown, he's a good player, but again, another player you're trying to transition from corner to safety. So more bodies in that position, more availability there is always a good thing.
And not a horrible year last year. He had a Pro Football Focus grade of 64, which is about average. He was only, I think, like 5 or 6 dudes on that Colorado defense. And if you remember from last year, the Colorado defense, pretty putrid, and it was a problem they faced. They just didn't have anything in the trenches on both the offensive and the defensive side of the ball. And it's really tough to look good as a defensive back when you got no pressure on the quarterback. So I think that's something to keep into a factor. But I'm ready to take a look at his film. I'm ready to take a look at some of the things that flashed when he was at Florida State. And like you guys said, I think it's a good addition. And you could tell by how quickly, like, this was a no-nonsense recruitment. They were totally fine with him coming back. They wanted him, and boom, see ya. What's up? Duke time.
Yes, we've got some all-22, so we'll do our best to. He's number 3 down here at the bottom of the screen. He's playing outside corner into the boundary, which is interesting.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, he's a little bit of a longer guy, right? He's 6 foot plus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 6 foot, I think.
You can see he's physical at the point of attack. He does a pretty good job, collisioning this guy, turning him upfield. The safety's slow to get there. The outside linebacker kind of over pursues, and that's the kind of physicality, the length, the willingness to kind of put your head face in the fan that you're looking for in a safety.
Pretty sure tackler when he was at Florida State. I think he only missed 2 tackles over his 2 seasons. That number ballooned when he was at Colorado, but
yeah. I mean, he was a good player for Florida State. He battled a boatload of injuries as a sophomore. But Brendan put out some good intel on his on kind of the staff's thoughts coming out of his sophomore year when they were transitioning to safety before he went to Colorado. And there were some shenanigans there. I believe like a former high school coach ended up at Colorado on that staff and helped to kind of get him out there.
Right. And like you said too, man, like it was they were, when we lost him last year, it was one that I think that they were pretty upset about. They had plans for this kid. You could see
a lot of off coverage, which is not untypical.
I mean, he's essentially playing a third safety here, right?
Yeah.
You're playing cover 3. You'd like for him to come up and stick that tackle, but they're playing a pretty soft spot drop zone in that play. So,
see on the back end here, it should get a glimpse of him.
That's not very similar to anything that you're going to see.
No.
At Florida State, where he's going to be purposefully giving a 10-yard cushion.
If he plays some safety, though, it gives you an idea of what it might look like. Of course,
him moving in space.
Yeah, there's differences, obviously, of him being out wide at corner and more in on the hashes at safety. I mean, I always remember him being a willing tackler. Being a guy that played with good effort, and I mean there were coverage skills there. He's got the length and everything that they kind of look for.
Yeah, and to give some perspective, that's something that I think Fuller likes doing. They like taking corners and putting him at safety because those coverage skills are the harder thing to establish. And
I agree.
There's going to be times as safety where you might want to blitz someone and you're going to be put in man coverage, and it's good to know that you can rely on those man coverage skills.
Well, and we know they want to play a light box defense. So they want to stop the run with their 6 guys in the box as opposed to asking safeties to come down in. So they want those guys to be more coverage players.
Man, this secondary is dookie.
Yeah, well, not many targets are going Cooper's way.
No, not at all.
That's a positive, right?
Absolutely.
There's good transition skills here. See the foot fire.
Yeah, he moves well. He's got length.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
outside shuffle to make sure he keeps leverage, drives on the ball.
Sticks on him really nice, right, Adam?
Yeah, that's good coverage. Let's see the back end here.
Yeah, let's see if I can pull up some stats on him.
More off
give
coverage
kind of a
here.
perspective.
I was hoping this game would be one. I know he comes up with a big sack in this game on a corner pressure. I thought
is he at the top of the screen now?
No, he's still at the bottom.
Okay, still at the bottom.
Yep. I thought of all the games, USC might be the one that would be the most action.
Well, he's doing a good job staying on his man.
He is. He was one of their better players. I'm sure. Who the hell knows what the hell they're thinking out there?
He looks.
If I'm being fully honest, I mean,
it's a mess. It's a mess up there. But you can see, like you said, willing contact, physical, like this, like not a guy who's afraid to deliver a blow.
No, not at all. Here he's physical up in your face, playing man. He's not playing man. He drops off into the zone. So, nice press. He's baiting the throw there. Caleb Williams doing Caleb Williams things. I think you made a good point earlier, Trey. Like when you're grading these DBs and stuff like that,
Look at this. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, look how long. there's nobody within 8 miles of Caleb Williams. Like, he's just got all day to run around, and that's a tough ask for a DB.
It's a number 1 overall pick with a million
Yeah.
years to throw. Like,
Yep. I like this though. Like, maybe some people won't.
Bottom of the screen.
He's scrappy. Like, he's scrappy. He's willing to get. He kind of reminds me of Renardo Green in a lot of ways. I don't think he's as good a player as Renardo was, but or is. But he's just one of those dudes that's going to get up in your.
Yeah.
Maybe this is not. He's going to get up in your jock strap and just kind of piss you off the whole game. And
I mean, Renardo was another one of those players that, you know, was corner, and then they moved to safety, and then they moved back to corner. You know, he's
a lot of throws at Travis Hunter.
Yeah, Travis Hunter was actually the most targeted defensive back on their roster. Teams were not particularly afraid of him.
Yeah, they thought he was sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's physical, Kev. He's real physical. Good with the sands. Extends his arms nice.
He's doing a nice job.
Yeah,
so we've seen him in press. We've seen him in off. Okay.
And I think, to me, the biggest thing is that the staff wants him back. You know, this is someone, he gets beat there.
They never wanted to lose him. That's the
right, but they're willing to take him back even after all of this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to trust the staff's evaluations until I don't. He's a little scrappy. He's long. He's kind of that prototype of what they're looking for, and I don't think you're looking for him to give you the world here, but you want another body that can play safety and can play corner, and
We'll let this play for a minute. Sorry.
He's at minimum that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there, Kevin. The appeal of that Colorado program, everybody, like, there was a lot of buzz around that program for the first year. A bunch of guys from Tallahassee went up there. You can kind of get the appeal once they still continue to, like, try his luck playing outside. There's a bunch of skills that are there that Florida State, Adam Fuller, Pat Surtain, Mike Norvell covet. Like that physicality, that's gonna work wonders.
Is this run in his direction? AB's got control of the video here. Or is that? I think that's 4. Yeah. He bought into the hype. I think he probably got sold a bill of goods that he would be a corner and he'd be developed by one of the best to ever play the position. And, you know, it was a bill of goods that I don't think that Deion made good on. And so I think that it probably takes a lot of humility to look back at this coaching staff and say that you want back in and that you're willing to play a different position, you know?
Yeah. He stayed with the guy really well on that play. He seems to move. He seems to run well, Adam, as far as like flipping the hips and he's staying with the wide receiver. Haven't seen him beat on too many routes or burned or like very open throws. I think you're muted, my friend. I can't hear you.
Yeah. He tends to stay with them. His weakest reps seem to be when they ask him to kind of play in off-zone coverage or kind of give this big cushion. I think he's probably a better man-up guy. He's going to do better.
Oh, there he goes.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was saying I do think he's a little rigid. Like, I think that I think he's fine in a man scheme where he can get up in your face and press you and be physical and not let you, kind of knock that timing off.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Renardo, which I mentioned earlier. But I think there's some upside at safety here. You see him blitzing there. We know how much Adam Fuller likes to blitz his safeties. The games he likes to play with that back there. He's shown that he can match up from the safe or from an off position at corner.
It'll be interesting. That was one of Akeem Dent's like most underrated qualities to me. Is he was a really good blitzer. I liked Akeem Dent as a blitzer. He had a good feel for the blitz and usually always brought guys down.
Yeah, I think very often that safety role gets played like that in Adam Fuller's defense. You see a lot of safety blitzes. They like bringing them down. It's speed in the backfield. It's someone that can get around the edge compared to a linebacker. And, that looked very familiar to me, in terms of, Akeem Dent doing very similar things last season.
He puts his hand on a receiver every single play, it feels like.
Is this him?
It's a
No,
pretty
he's at the
tight little
bottom.
speed turn here.
Yeah, he's at
Yeah.
the bottom.
Yeah. He gets a little, he loses the receiver.
Yeah. Little soft there. Soft coverage.
Like you said, though, Kevin, when he's up in the guy's face playing press, being physical, he looks way more comfortable than when he has to give these big, deep drop backs and cushions and things like that.
And to be fair, that might also be because he came up in an FSU system. You know, he played 2 years at FSU. At FSU, even their zone is man. You know, they match everything. You've got a man
Almost.
depending on rules.
Yeah, but he does a good job of keeping his leverage and forces the ball back inside, which is where it needs to get to.
Yeah, that's his job. He does his job here. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. If you're too overzealous, kind of trying to make the tackle, you can give up the edge, and that's a bigger play. He's trusting his safeties to make the play. I'd say that's a net win for that.
Yeah, for sure.
He does a good job of getting in phase here. He's kind of beat at the line of scrimmage and gets back into it.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to play safety, and as a safety, he's going to have really good coverage skills.
Kev, what are some things that he's going to need to work on for that full transition to safety in the Florida State defense?
Well, Florida State plays a lot of cover 4, so what they expect out of their safeties is that at the drop of a hat, they need to come down and be able to make a tackle at 3 yards when it gets bounced outside. That's something I think Akeem Dent did really well by the end of his career. He was able to recognize, hey, this ball's bouncing my way. I need to fill. I need to leave my pass responsibilities, be able to read, run, pass quickly, and fill the gap. And that's something that's the hardest thing to learn as as a cover 4 safety is to be aggressive, because you're so used to being a safety, meaning that you're the last line of defense. But in a cover 4 scheme, you also have a run fit. So you need to be able to do both things and be very aggressive and snappy towards the run.
This is nice coverage here. This is just a first round pick making a hell of a throw on you off platform.
And I like the coming downhill. That's what I was just talking about.
Yeah.
Right. How fast can you come off the roof?
And they're not facing a Caleb Williams next year in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Like, that ball is going to be picked off most of the time.
Miami
right?
fans.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Excuse me. Yeah, besides him, yeah, not facing too many of that Caleb Williams caliber. I like the pickup. I like the physicality. Like Kevin said, the skills that he's going to need to be successful as a safety in a light box Adam Fuller defense. He's got it, dude. Does not shy away from contact. Seems to know his role on the run fits, gets physical under the pads, plays his position. I'm glad to have the kid back. I really am. I think there's a lot of stuff there to work with. What about you guys?
I agree with everything you said, and I agree with what Kev was talking about. Like, if he's going to play safety, the thing that worries me is can he pick up those run fits fast enough and understand where he slots in the run game. And ultimately, it was an issue in the spring game for the safeties, but you're also playing a lot of vanilla defense in those situations. So there's some understanding of what's going on in a spring game setting. But he's not played a ton of safety in his career. I do think that Colorado was looking at him and maybe playing a little bit of safety this upcoming season. So maybe they're on the kind of the same wavelengths as Florida State, thinking he's more of a safety than a true outside corner. But those are things that you're going to get with reps, and how many reps can he get between today and the beginning of the season to really be a guy that jumps in there and can contribute for you.
It's a good point. It makes the Devontae Brown pickup for Miami even that much more. A guy a guy who's also a veteran presence, but did get those spring reps. And it'll be interesting. Who knows what that safety rotation looks like in game 1, what it's going to look like by game 7 or 8. I think that's a good point, Adam. Those run fits are something that, I mean, he's got experience with the defense, but he's going to be adapting to a new defensive backs coach, a new position. It's not going to be completely plug and play. There might be some hiccups, but
Right.
I like the athleticism and the skill set. Kev, what about you before we head on out of here?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys mostly said it. There's not a lot to say here. I think in terms of how they've evaluated secondary, how they've evaluated the transfer portal, the kinds of guys they bring in, to me, it's a red flag that he went to Colorado. But this staff,
I mean, yeah, kind of.
I mean, if I'm honest, yeah, there doesn't seem to be a great reputation behind a lot of the guys that made that decision. But this staff seems to still trust him. The staff seems to still want to kind of put some weight into his commitment and trust into, you know, him coming back and being a contributor for this team and not being someone that would be a distraction. So in terms of that, I have no problem. I have no doubts about his football ability. You know, we've seen him play. We've seen 2 years of him. We've seen the good and we've seen the injury. I think that, you know, foot speed and kind of hip turn, you know, hip mobility was always the concern with Duke Cooper when he was here. You know, you're taking him away from being a corner, so that's not my problem anymore. It seems like he does seem like the kind of guy that can come up and make a tackle. So football-wise, he checks the boxes. If they think that he's not going to be a distraction, if they think that he's going to be a net positive to this team, then I'm inclined to believe with them until they prove that, you know, prove me otherwise.
Totally agree. And I think we've said it all, guys. Omarion Duke Cooper back as a Seminole. We will be back with you at another time to talk any sort of spring transfer portal additions, any sort of news. We're going to be breaking down some more in-depth footage of the spring game. We'll be looking at some of those one-on-one player matchups to really evaluate what Florida State's got coming into the 2024 football season. But you won't see any of it. You'll be blinded to the information if you are not subscribed to this YouTube channel, subscribe to the Knowles 24/7 YouTube channel, and if you are not on Knowles247.com and an active board member, loser, and you probably thought Drake won the rap battle. He did not. Sign up for Knowles 24/7.
Here we go.
Sign up for Knowles 24/7. Be like us. Love you guys. Keep chopping.